Welcome to Moving Through and Beyond, a podcast dedicated to sharing inspired journeys of redefining life, vision, and purpose after immense hardship and grief. My goal with this podcast is to give you hope and to let my guest journeys inspire you to make the choice to keep looking up. I'm your host, Carey Conley. I'm very excited to be joined today by a very dear friend of mine that I've known for a very long time. Her name is Leah Shafer, and we're going to have a great conversation about her life story and some of the things that she's been through. But I want to tell you a little bit about Leah's background. She's a skincare expert and medical aesthetician who owns Skin by Leah in Colorado. She's also known as being an international gospel singer for over 30 years. Her life partner is Captain Sandy from the hit Bravo show Below Deck. Leah is the mother of a beautiful teenage girl named Lauren, and she's the national anthem singer for the Broncos, the Nuggets, and many other sports teams. She has quite a story to tell about the shifts that she's made in her relationships and her personal life, and I'm so thrilled to bring her to you today. Well, thank you, Leah, my friend, for being on this podcast with me today. It's been a long time since I've seen your beautiful face. This is such a treat. Thank you.
It's been so long. How long has it been?
Well, we were just talking about this a minute ago. I think my daughter was like in middle school, and now she's like, married, 29, 2 babies.
That's just so crazy.
Yeah. Too fast.
Too fast. Yeah. Started her senior year yesterday.
Yeah. And you know what? Tomorrow she'll be standing at graduation, Leah. That's how fast senior year goes. So soak it up.
Yeah. We're applying for colleges and all that stuff.
All the things. How fun. Well, you've had a lot of changes in your life since I've met you.
Yes, I have. Yeah. Yeah, we both have.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely. And I know that you had some shifts in your life even before we met. So I just wanted you to come on, and you've been so gracious about being transparent about your story and all the turns it's taken. So I would love to hear you just kind of shared a little bit about your background.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you knew me when I was leading worship at all of the churches and at, Cherry Hills and singing. Well, I still sing for the Broncos and stuff like that, but married to a guy, 20 years, motivational speaker. And you were just breaking out, wanting to come out into speaking. And we just were women supporting women. And we just met and hit it off right away. I think it was at the White Chocolate Grill. But I think you are just such a very real person. And I felt very comfortable sharing with you at the time of lunch and just kind of opening up about my, frustrations and all of that girl talk. Right. And then we just kind of went our separate ways, and I just continued down the path of like leading worship and raising my daughter and ignoring really what I was going through was torment inside of myself because I honestly therapy, everything you can possibly do to try and fix a marriage, it just wasn't working. We were best friends. We were best friends and I loved him, but I wasn't in love, and then when you're a worship leader, you're just made to feel like you have to pretend and act like you have it all together and nothing's wrong because you are, up there on stage and have a huge responsibility of keeping it all together, and I wasn't. I was very sad. I confided in some really close friends and I couldn't take it anymore, and finally I just opened up to my parents who are, very religious and said, I didn't bring up my struggle of my identity kind of struggle, but I just said, I am so depressed. Literally I'm dying inside. Mm-hmm. My dad had to come over and this is terrible, but he had to actually come and get my guns out of my house. That's how bad I was. It wasn't it was scary. I'm not gonna lie. I'm in this closet and I'm sobbing and crying. And I just felt like there was no way out of my mind, my home. And if I had to sleep next to this husband one more night, I'm going to lose my mind because I felt like I just was, I had no passion in me anymore. I couldn't even kiss him. I couldn't even give in that way. And I felt so bad because it's you're raised that's my duty is to honor my husband and, please him. And I just thought, I feel it was awful. It was just terrible feeling.
Wow.
And my dad came and took the guns out of the house, and my mom sat and cried with me. And I said, I think I'm going to ask for a divorce. And I actually went to the church and confided in them. And they literally told me that, I'll never forget. They took me back into this conference room, and it was all men, and I won't say who, but they literally took me back there and said, well, maybe you shouldn't be on stage. Maybe you're not in a place where you should lead worship anymore, and you should step down. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Like, you're in recovery alcoholic, right? But you can be on stage.
Yeah.
And you're like so inappropriate, but we won't talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Coming to you saying, I'm struggling in my marriage, and you think I should step down?
Yeah.
What kind of church is that? And so I left, and I'm a volunteer. I wasn't even getting paid. It wasn't like I was on staff. I was giving of my time and my gifts. And so even at that time when I was married and I never came out yet, I never got the support that I needed from the church. And it was just so awful, And
I remember you talking a lot about that, Leah, and being
it was horrible.
In a graceful way. But I remember hearing you talk about, and that's so hard because they are to be our community, our family.
Yeah.
Right. In hard times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, didn't you even stop singing for a while?
I stopped singing. I was so depressed. I was so angry and so depressed. It crushed me.
Yeah.
I am devoted 30 years of my life. All I want to do is sing. All I want to do is inspire. I'm not even asking for a dime. I like it. And how could you do that to me at my lowest point? And that's why people kill themselves, and they're depressed, and they do these things because the church is supposed to be like your safe place. And it wasn't for me. And friends that were on the team with me and stuff, like, they stopped calling and they stopped being there. And I thought, oh my gosh, like, literally the person I led worship with he unfriended me on Facebook. And I called and I said, why? And you're in like recovery, and you're teaching about recovery, and how does this even happen? Like, so I couldn't wrap my head around it, and I was very hurt. And even my husband at the time was very disappointed the way they treated me. He was very supportive. And since then, I haven't even found a church that I feel I belong to. So even then, I felt completely just thrown away, like nothing. Yeah. Then as time goes by, I was just so isolated and so on my own in so many ways. And then, I still sang for the Broncos. So I got this message from Captain Sandy from Below Deck Mediterranean and said, hey, I'm doing this tour. Your voice is amazing. I'd love to, use you in this tour. And I thought, oh my gosh, like, I get to sing again, somebody's acknowledging my gift of music. And so I was very excited. And I went out there and I met her, and it was instant attraction. And I thought, I am in trouble. Like, it felt so right the way I felt. Right. And yet the way we're taught, it's so wrong. Yeah. So I thought, okay, now I'm going to be this sinner and I'm going to go to hell. like fully, So I stepped away from her for just a hot second because I had to get it together, and I just didn't want to do that. So I came home and I told, my ex-husband now that I want a divorce. And even if I didn't end up with her, she was for sure the reason I had clarity that, well, this for sure is not for me. Right. Know about this yet, but I just know that I'm not happy. Right. So my family, my parents, my daughter, and they were very supportive. And really, honestly, it was a very amicable divorce until I came out with Sandy, which was like 3 months later.
I wondered about the timeline of that and all those things, happening all at the same time, almost like a perfect storm,
It was a
And
storm.
what I love that you're sharing, Leah, is that even though you have not felt comfortable finding a church, I can totally understand that. And it was hard for people, after I lost my husband and then my son. I have been back to church, I think, twice since then, and it's been 6 years since I've lost my son. And it was nothing horrible that happened. What happened for me, and I think this, I can tell that you are still a deep woman of faith, right? Is that I needed to have a more one-on-one relationship with God to lean into to get through it. And I'm going to guess that probably that's what happened for you as well, right?
Yeah. I had to relearn my relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the relationship I had with God was so conformed and what I thought it should be. And my dad, who I lost in COVID, unfortunately, but he was more spiritual. And so thank God I had that difference between really having a personal relationship versus like religion,
Yeah.
And so ever since a little girl, I've craved that relationship with God. Church, no church. I just had it in me. And I knew at a very young age, I wanted to sing for him and inspire for him in some way or another. It was just a calling. And when you have a calling, you can't help but want to keep doing it. It's like in you.
Right.
So for me, it was through the church platforms. And yeah, I think that when you have the light in you, like you do, and like I do, and that personal relationship that we're still learning and listening to the voice and learning what the voice sounds like. I think we outgrow some of the organized religions. I think some of it's elementary school to me, I just needed something meatier and where I walk away like, wow. And I never had that out here. It was just so profound. So, but I am in life. Like I'm meeting people. I mean, Jesus didn't go to like a church. He was the church, right? So I thought my church is like this, my church is getting out there and putting myself out there and telling people who are truly hurting that they are loved, that God loves them, whatever that means to them, and really show that love to other people. I'm getting more messages and emails now than I ever have being in ministry because people feel they can approach me more. That I'm not perfect, that I'm just more free to be myself.
Right.
I had
I'm sorry.
Sorry. I had a woman from South Africa that I didn't even know. And she like messaged me and she's like, how did you have the courage to like leave? If I say I'm gay, they're going to fire me. And I said, well, ultimately, like, will you regret at the end of your life looking back and saying, I wish I would have lived my authentic self? She said, yeah. I go, then jump, like, like, what do you have to lose? And she wrote me and they crucified her and they fired her and it was awful. But now she's with a person she's so in love with and she started a magazine and she's so happy.
Yeah. It is kind of scary when we start realizing that pieces of our identity aren't really real. I'm going through a lot of this myself right now because of the healing process I'm in and discovering, why I did certain things and made certain decisions, right? Like even why I married my husband has become a revelation for me in the past 9 years since I lost him, and fully understanding a little bit more about myself and what I'm called to do. But like you, it has created in me a much deeper appreciation of my faith and leaning in on that. And I'm sure this was true for you as well, figuring out what my real vision and my real purpose is and how to help other people through that, especially if they're going through their own adversity. So I'm sure so many of these people that are coming to you now is because you're being so open about your story. They're asking you, okay, well, how did you get through that? What helped you get through that?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many women now, especially in my skincare practice, Skin by Leah, that they're laying there in my bed and I get them for an hour or maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many women literally feel stuck in their marriages because of money. And they are at an age where they're thinking, okay, I'm miserable. I'm not in love. He's controlling. I don't want him to touch me. They're either sneaking and having an affair because they're finding that passion and attention in the wrong way. And I encourage them, like, that's a dead end,
Yes.
Or, they're afraid, like, what are they going to do for work? The husband has it all. And I experienced that. Unfortunately, I was shocked that he did that to me. And when it comes to money, so I just feel like it's so sad that, women compromise themselves and settle, and they feel stuck because of finance, or what be. So I just want to encourage women that it's never too late to figure it out and start over. I did, and I couldn't even get a loan because I had no income to my name,
Right.
I'm going to be 50 the next month, and I'm learning how to do my taxes and pay my bills and understand finance. And I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not dumb. I just never had to do it.
Right.
So my story is to just encourage women and empower them, and not feel like we're supposed to do what everyone thinks we're supposed to do.
Right.
Like, there's so much pressure.
Yeah, it's, I'm 10 years older than you, over 10 years older than you. I turned 61.
Oh, you look good, girl.
I need to come see you when I'm back in Denver.
Yeah, no, you look so good.
Actually, I'm going to be there next week.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm just now starting to think about, I've done well with both businesses, right, and making money, but I've never until now really started learning more about building wealth and what that looks like and how money actually works. And I'm encouraged, especially my mentor is Sharon Lechter, Leah, who is a financial literacy expert in this world. She's a big-time speaker and has written many. She co-authored the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and has now written almost 30 books. And most of them are around money.
Okay.
And I've started putting myself in places where there are other women saying, I want to learn how money works. So I think, you and I were in a generation where you came out of college, you got the college degree, you got married, he took care of the finances, you kind of managed the whole household budget, whatever. I'm totally dating myself now. But I think we're on a cusp now of new generations of women getting really smart about it, which is really encouraging.
Yeah. I mean, I came from an entertainment background, so I was not the get married quick, stay at home mom. I toured, I sang, I did all that, and then we adopted Lolo at birth, and I wasn't planning on having kids, and she was a miracle from heaven. That's a whole other story. But and he was 21 years older than me, so he knew better. He knew because he had been married 3 times before. And so I was 25 years old, oh my gosh, I'm so in love. And, and I just was naive, and I trusted him to take care of me. And he did. He was a really good husband at the time. And he was a good caretaker and a provider. But in that, I lost myself. I got in balance, I went over the allowance, then dad came in and lectured me. That's what it felt like, Right. So when I launched into the beauty industry, which I've been in the beauty industry since I was 19, and I opened my skin studio in 2017, I thought, wow, like, I'm making money. I'm really good at this. I'm actually really smart. And I started, and he was, but he would only support me just like a little bit, like he called it a hobby. And I thought, it's not a hobby. Like, and you're on the road speaking because I'm staying home. Why don't you stay home and I'll go sing? Like, it's like, what's happening? So I lost myself, Carey, and I think, what was it in you when when we were talking at that lunch that day? What was it that happened that made you realize like, I'm gonna like go full force and create this like empire for myself?
Well, I've known for a really long time, Leah, that I am supposed to be helping people create a vision and a purpose for their life way before I even started my first business when my kids were babies. And that was a God thing that popped out of my head. I was actually encouraged by a mentor one day because I was talking about how I was not doing the 9-to-5 gig well. Because, again, my history was get the college degree, get the job, do the 9-to-5 thing. This is what you did. And my husband did it really well. I was changing jobs every 2 years because I couldn't find the right job. And what she told me was, you can create your life to look like whatever you want it to look like. You just have to know what that is. And so I took a day off of work and with a legal pad of paper wrote out in great detail what I wanted to create my life to look like. And on that day, Leah, no joke, popped out of my head, first time ever in my life, I wrote, last line on a piece of paper, someday I wanted to teach other people about vision and goal setting. And I think what happened that day, it was just a God thing, a God moment where he was showing me, this is what's in store for you. So fast forward to now and everything I've been through, I am now more passionate than ever because people need vision and purpose to get them through these adversities.
Yes.
Right?
I think you're the strongest woman. Like, honestly, like, I know we haven't seen each other, but what you have been through and what you're doing now, I mean, many people would crumble and they would give up and they would, and you didn't. And you're just so strong and you're a true testament of like strength, and resilience. And it's really beautiful to watch what you've gone through and taken something turn out to be something so beautiful and so empowering, and you're just keep going, and I think it's just nice to watch, and it's just so great to know women like you that you feel like you can call upon and feel like, oh, hey, like, how do you do this and how do you do that? And it's really important to find women that have evolved and not stayed stuck, to surround yourself with, because I do believe you attract how you feel about yourself in the moment. And
absolutely.
And I personally want to keep evolving and growing and more and more and more, and not look back and have regrets. And I feel like, and sometimes that's, a person serves a time and place for that purpose in that moment.
Right.
And then you move on to, maybe someone else that comes into your life, and that's okay. So I love about you is that you're a very open person. You were one of the ones that never judged me and never, you just never judged me, I mean, and what I tell people is like, you don't have to agree with me, but you don't have to like not love and care about me. I'm still the same Leah that you knew, and I'm not here to change your mind about your own beliefs or whatever. And trust me, I'm not going to lie. Like, you don't grow up in a faith-based religion and not struggle. Like, am I going to hell? Like, does God love me? Like, is this really wrong? That's not realistic to say all that went away. No, I struggle with all of that, but I have a hard time believing that God also wanted me in a loveless, passionless, dead marriage. I don't believe my father would want that for me, let alone my earth father. So why would God? And then, I've come out of the bubble of the religious circle, and I feel like I could think a little more clearly, to just think for myself and hear God's voice in a very personal way. And I just, oh my God, I'm so in love. Like, I'm so in love and happy. And like, I miss her, and she makes me be a better person. And we go at it sometimes, we're totally two different people, but she's taught me how to, she's really helped me challenge myself in a lot of ways, and vice versa. And she's taught me to play again and be spontaneous and take risks. And not
I
be
can
so careful.
see that. Yes, I can see that it comes across in all your social media how happy you are, and I love the
Yeah.
lessons that you've given us here today, Leah. To just really follow your own path and to lean into God more, right?
Yeah.
Especially in
Yeah.
the really tough times, and to know that you have a vision and a purpose, and that once you get through, I think the last thing I want to say is that you right now, I think, are a testament of what it can look like when you work through the hard stuff, that it does get better.
Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah.
Life can be hard. For
It
sure.
can. It's never going to be, where it's all, we're good now and nothing else is going to happen, right? There will be something else that will happen. But I think, what I keep being told is that, hard stuff comes, and I've definitely obviously been through hard stuff. But there's a purpose in it all. And at the end of the day, I know that there is a plan in it, which I know you know too, and that I still have more to do, like you.
Yeah. I mean, it's how you respond, right? And how you
Yep.
handle it. You stay resilient, and you surround yourself with people who keep you resilient, and you
Yes.
just keep going. And I don't care what anyone says, like, just get up, wake up, dress up, and show up, and then kick some ass. I say ass, and so,
It's all good.
kind of have to be a tough girl attitude,
Yeah.
just have to.
Yeah, because we are still examples for our daughters. Although my daughter now has become more of my mother than my daughter. We've
Yeah,
kind of
my-
reversed roles.
So my daughter came out gay to me.
Mm.
And she's with a woman, and she came to me and said, "Mom, thank you." I go, "For what?" She goes, and she cried, and she said, "If it wasn't for you, I could never be myself." I had no idea, Carey, that my daughter struggled with that.
Yeah.
If that was my purpose for my kid, then I did my job.
Yeah. Well, you are amazing, and I hope that I get to see you when I come to
Yeah,
Denver.
let me know. Text me.
Yeah. Or if you ever come to Arizona, I'm moving back to Arizona. So,
Yeah, my family lives there, so I'm
okay.
always. Yeah.
All right. Well, stay in touch with me.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you
All right,
for your
Carey.
time. I'm going to
Thank you.
sign
Bye.
off, and I thank you. If you found this episode inspiring or helpful, please share it with a friend or a family member. In order to be successful on this mission, I can't do it alone. Connect with me at www.careyconley.com, and don't forget to sign up for my weekly Do It On Purpose newsletter. Let's build this life-giving vision movement together to end this epidemic, save lives, and create purpose.